I don't believe what I just saw.
This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
I believe in miracles. Yes!
Is this the dagger?
It's May 1st on this day in sports. On this day in 1822, the city of Boston elected its first mayor. So in honor of that day, I will attempt to read this episode's intro in my stereotypical Bostonian accent.
Oof, okay,
no.
Here we go.
And today's episode, Ricky declares himself the greatest of all time. Slick Riley hits the golf course early. Chi-Chi puts a stop to all the hot dogging.
That's pretty good.
Smarty Jones and Citation make history at the Run for the Roses. The Sabres waste another historic playoff performance. An all-time weird uniform change. And the shitty Hartford fucking Whalers put an end to their fans' misery. So don't you dare bang a Yui. You can all go out for supper and dollar drafts at Coogan's later on. Stick around for all that and even more wicked awesome sports history on today's Ripper episode of This Day in Sports.
Well done.
That was good. Yeah.
It got better as it went. And I'll tell you.
I just, we don't need to criticize.
No,
We can
not
just
criticize.
go.
No, I
This
think
is all compliments.
No, but
Yeah.
we
I
don't
mean-
need to comment on it.
No,
We can
but
just
most.
go.
okay.
I feel like
Okay.
most people would start strong and then fade, but you actually got stronger as you went.
I don't. Again,
Uniform was
I don't,
a particularly
I don't-
good one.
I don't really care.
The Hartford Whaler one was fucking great, and then you killed it on the last paragraph.
I like the Ripper.
That
Yeah,
was great with the Ripper.
yeah. I think that was bang on, Mike.
Throw a Duncan's
Way to go.
in there. Yeah.
Usually you're just not interested in any of the accents I do. So I
doesn't-
just wanted you to know that I like the one you did.
He's uncomfortable with the praise. Sandy.
Okay.
He's
Well, I
uncomfortable with the
I did
praise.
like a Dracula at Halloween, and it was like, stop it. But I thought this one was great. I was going through there. Okay. Well, you know what? All of that is to say, it's praiseworthy, as is our sponsor, Frank. Frank, what did you hit the mic over there? Did you hit the mic over? Okay.
This is Frank's first
No,
time
I was
recording something.
just making sure that main camera was.
Because the sound you made sounded like a ripper.
Yeah.
Was it a Ripper?
So cabinforlife.ca, check it out, because right now we are in Cabin at the Port Credit location. This is the spot you go to get a cut, get a shave, get a ton of compliments. Great place to come down and just feel better about everything that's going on with your face and your head and all the things you wear. Well, because they clean up the whole look.
You almost went a little Boston there. Did you?
Oh,
feel
did
it?
I?
It's contagious.
The
It's good,
face
it's
and-
contagious.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But we love Cabin. We love that they're our sponsor. We'd love to get some hats. We're still working on Cabin hats, I have to point out. Matt and I are wearing hats tonight. Could be Cabin hats.
I'm wearing a cabin sweater. No
But
one
you are
else
wearing
is.
the sweater.
Very warm.
Yeah.
Very warm.
But we want the hats. You got to come through with the hats. I'm just going to put it out there. But in lieu, we got a couple caps going on. But come down, get a cut, get a shave, get a ton of compliments. This is the place to be to clean yourself up. That's what I'm trying to say. Clean up your act at cabin.ca.
That's right.
Check them out. They'll tell you how to do it. What do you think?
I think we should start a fund, like people can send a dime in or something to pay for these hats.
March of Dimes to get a hat. Perfect way to do it. Matt, what do you think's going on this day in sports?
Oh,
This is
gosh.
May 1st. we're
May
talking about.
1st. Let's jump around to 1992 when Buffalo's Pat LaFontaine became the first player in NHL history to score a goal in each of his team's first 7 games of the playoffs. But it wasn't enough as the Bruins beat the Sabres 3-2 in Game 7 of their first-round series. That season, 6 of the 8 first-round playoff series went 7 games, and the other 2 went 6.
Wow.
That's fun.
A great year.
Yeah,
to
that
watch
is.
live.
That's really cool.
there. Yeah, absolutely.
That's an exciting playoff.
And I mean, in 1992, you're staying up late to check out like if the Kings were out or the Kings. But it was like a West Coast. It was a West Coast team. It was so fun and all that's going on. You don't have the same opportunities we have today to be with all the games going on and say on your laptop, your phone, on the TV.
No.
You got to focus on one, and then unless you got that, in 1992 they had
ticker.
that, the little ticker on the bottom, or you had the P&P, which nobody had pretty much. One, like your weird uncle would have the P&P, but no one had the picture-in-picture. You had to check it out, and you had to shuffle, and that was a better, really in a lot of ways, a better way to watch because you were focused mostly on just one game.
Yeah,
were
have you
flipping around
actually,
everywhere.
like, I've caught myself not paying, like having games on
Yeah.
that I should be paying attention
Yeah.
to, that I care about, and I get distracted so
Too much
easily.
other things going
There's
on.
too many other things. I'm like, I don't even realize. I'm like, oh, I've been on my phone for 10 minutes. I haven't been watching.
Yeah. This like great game that's going on.
Yes,
right
this
now.
like game that I actually am invested in, and yet I still can't. Anyway,
That is a.
what were you saying?
No, there you go.
Pat LaFontaine.
Yeah, perfect.
1992.
Timing. Perfect timing. Mike, I imagine other things happen on May 1st.
They did 1 year earlier. In 1991, A's outfielder Ricky Henderson stole his 939th career base in the fourth inning of a game versus the Yankees in Oakland, making him the all-time MLB leader in steals, passing Lou Brock to break the record. He stole it off of New York pitcher Tim Leary and catcher Matt Noakes, and those two had thrown him out earlier in the game trying to break the record in the first inning. Henderson played 12 more years after that, but finished with 1,406 steals, 3,055 hits, 297 home runs, 1,115 RBIs, and 2,205 runs scored. Wow. He led the American League in steals 12 different seasons, and on this same day, 1 year later, he reached 1,000 career steals.
As Ricky Henderson would say himself,
I'm the greatest
he would say
of all time.
Nope, he'd say Ricky is the greatest of all
Yeah.
time.
Ah.
I like to refer to himself as just
Third person.
Third person.
I'll bet he didn't like getting thrown out on the record.
No, I'm sure the
I'll bet-
fans
hate it.
didn't like it either.
I'll bet he was like,
and I bet Matt Noakes liked it.
Oh, yeah.
And as he ran towards the dugout, he said to himself, "Ricky, you're still the greatest."
All joking aside, I think Ricky Henderson probably is one of the 10 best players of all time.
Oh,
Like he is, if there's 5 or 6 important statistical categories, he's first in 2 of them
Yeah.
and second in another one.
yeah.
Like he has the most steals, he has the most runs, and he's second in walks.
And as I mean, how he affects the game is such a
Yeah,
big
and like
thing.
what he did, like
That's why the Jays went and got him in
Yeah.
'93 because they're
Yeah.
like, well, let's just have him not be on another team.
he didn't play well
Yeah.
for the Jays, but that at bat in the World Series in Game 6 against
Yeah.
Mitch Williams was worth all of it.
Yeah.
Because he dared Mitch Williams to throw him a strike.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
And he couldn't, and he wasn't playing against us.
Yeah. Which was also a bonus. Yeah. Because that didn't go well. Anyway, 1991.
Well, you know, when we were getting warmed up for this episode, WKRP came up as it often does. So this is a perfect one. In 1972, Chichi Rodriguez, or as WKRP loved, Chai Chai Rodriguez, as Les Nessman called him, won the Byron Nelson Classic on the first hole of a sudden death playoff with Billy Casper at the Preston Trails Golf Club in Dallas, Texas. It was his 6th career PGA tournament win, but his first in almost 4 years. And he said, quote, "They used to call me the hot dog pro when I first joined the tour 12 years ago." And then he said afterwards, when spectators saw me down the fairway, they'd say, "He's a nobody. Let's go get a hot dog." Just to elaborate on his comment. That's what he meant.
Chai.
I don't have a WKRP reference to hang this one on, but let's go back to 1948,
Shall we?
shall we?
Yep.
When Citation, ridden by Eddie Arcaro, won the Kentucky Derby by 3.5 lengths. It was the closest race of the American Triple Crown that Citation won that year. 3.5 lengths was the closest. Is that a lot? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty,
It's like 3 horses in advance.
yeah, certainly not a photo finish. 1996, Chicago defeated the Heat 112-91 in Miami in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals to complete a 3-game sweep. It marks the first time in his 14 seasons as an NBA head coach that Pat Riley was eliminated in the first round of the playoffs.
Wow. Yeah.
Not the last.
No, the very first. In 1965, May 1st, 1965, after 18 seasons that included 10 World Series wins and 18 All-Star Game appearances, catcher Yogi Berra made his first appearance in another team's uniform, pinch hitting in the 8th inning for the Mets during a 9-2 loss to Cincinnati. Yogi had just 9 at-bats for the other New York team before calling it quits on his playing career just over a week later. Yeah. Mike and I often joke about these guys who are like all time, but I mean, he was more to the Mets because he's managing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But these players that just go and play one season somewhere else, like for example, you'd be like Oriole great Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
Like
At least Reggie played a whole year there. Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Frank and I have our own jokes.
Oh, I'd love to know what those are.
They're just different.
Yeah, what are those like? What are those like, Matt? You and Frank when you spend time together.
Yeah.
We talk about soft drinks.
Oh, nice.
They're sound
Good.
related.
Yeah, good.
Soda water.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
That's right.
Great. Well, I'm glad we talked about that. Matt, what you got?
Let's go back to let's go way back to 1891.
Yes.
Do it.
May 1st. In the first game ever played at Cleveland's League Park, legendary pitcher Cy Young got the win as the Spiders defeated the Cincinnati Redlegs 12-3. Spiders mention. I just want to flag that.
Yeah.
My Cleveland Spiders.
I know you like to talk about those guys. You like New Zealand in hockey. You love the Spiders in baseball.
And also lovely in this is that Redlegs also sound like spiders, don't they? The Cincinnati Redlegs.
Yeah, it does sound like
Sounds
a
like
spider.
a full-on spiders match.
So, Matt, you've had quite a week of arachnophobia. What's happening over there? Yeah, 1947 sounds like a spider year.
Yeah. Get it in
Like
there.
the cicadas that were expecting this year.
Arachnophobia. 1982. Thousands of fans brought white towels to Game 3 of the Campbell Conference Finals at the Pacific Coliseum and waved them throughout the game versus Chicago, beginning a long-standing home playoff tradition in Vancouver. The towel waving tradition was inadvertently started by Canucks head coach Roger Nielsen in the previous game when he wrapped a towel around the end of a stick and waved it in the air at the officials as a means of protest for what he thought was unfair treatment of his team. 3 Vancouver players who joined him in the towel waving were all ejected from the game, and a BC playoff tradition was born.
Yeah, they're still doing it. This year,
Yep.
saw them doing it out there.
I think there's a statue of Roger Nielsen in front of, I'm not kidding, of
Yeah.
Rogers Arena waving
With
a
the-
towel
yeah.
too. I think that's his,
Other franchises too are now they're
That-
copying
oh, yeah,
from
it's a
it,
huge
right?
deal,
yeah,
right?
yeah, but it started here in 1982 in
hilarious.
Vancouver.
I did not know that until I read that.
See?
And great research, Mike.
That's why you tune in.
May 1st, 1965. After 18 seasons. I'm kidding. Okay, let's go. 2004, Smarty Jones won the Kentucky Derby. This is another horse racing thing.
Oh, yeah.
Matt. Won the Kentucky Derby by splashing past Lionheart down the stretch, improving his record to 7 and becoming the first undefeated Derby winner since Seattle Slew in 1977. Yep. Smarty Jones, which I think when we did our weird names for horses, Smarty Jones was a pick, or at least was on one of our almost picks.
Certainly
Can't
got
remember the
some
name.
mention.
Smarty Jones.
Yeah, Seattle Slew not bad either.
Seattle Slew's a good name. I don't know if it was on my but it's why? Why do you think that's
I just like the alliteration. I think
Okay.
especially when you talked about splashing and then the slew.
Okay.
It all came
Yeah.
together there.
Oh, I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. 1992. At the Montreal Forum, Russ Courtnall scored 5 minutes into the second overtime period to give the Canadians a 3-2 win in Game 7 of the Adams Division semifinals. It was the Whalers' final NHL playoff game. They missed the postseason in each of the next 5 seasons before moving to Carolina in 1997.
Oof. Wow.
Well, what a tough end for the fan base, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking whalers.
There it is. Perfect timing.
Fuck the whalers.
Yeah.
1974, Pirates pitcher Doc Ellis intentionally hit Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and Dan Dreesen with a pitch to start the game, and then issued a bases-loaded walk to Tony Perez after just missing him with 2 other pitches to allow a run to score before he was removed from the game by manager Danny Murtaugh after facing just 4 hitters. And to be clear, it was not due to a lack of control on Ellis's part. Before the game, he vowed publicly to reporters, quote, "I'm going to hit those motherfuckers."
Nice.
Pittsburgh, that's so good. Pittsburgh lost the game 5-3. Can you imagine if somebody did that now?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He basically said, "You better take me out of this game, or I'm
Yeah.
just going to keep doing it."
Yeah, I'm going to hit everybody. I don't know. I could not really concretely find what the source of his anger with the Reds was. I don't know. It may have been very personal. I
Yeah.
don't know. But he was not even pretending to like, ooh, it slipped out. You know, they do that now.
No.
Nope. He just was like, here you go. Here you go. Here's
Yeah.
one for you.
Yeah.
And then he tried to hit Tony Perez and missed.
Yeah. Is that twice?
He missed him twice
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
walked him.
Oh, perfect.
And
Yeah.
he went to he just told the reporters.
That's gonna
Before
that's
the
gonna
game.
be.
I'm gonna
I'm
That's
gonna
gonna
hit
happen.
These MFers.
Yeah.
Wow.
This will feature later in the show.
That's right. We're
too.
thinking about doing that as part of a draft.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that
Yeah.
in a little bit.
It's gonna be great.
One thing I want to point out, though, we keep saying about the Whalers. Friend of the show, George Grand, who we had on. If you haven't seen the episode,
yeah.
fantastic episode, was the voice of the Whalers
That's right.
back when. And that is an episode that if you've not checked it out, go back and check in our archives, I guess you'd say. Or maybe
Sure.
it's coming back around to that date again. We should release it again.
Yeah.
George Grand, of course, was the voice of the Reds. He was the first ever anchor on ESPN. voice of the Whalers. Check out that episode where he judged our lineups because he is fantastic.
Great stories.
Yeah,
Great
he's
stories.
sort of living
Holy cow.
history, that dude.
I'll tell you what, May 1st, 1965, Jean Beliveau scored just 14 seconds into the game, and Montreal scored all 4 of their goals in the first period to win Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals versus Chicago in a convincing and, yes, boring fashion by a score of 4-0. Beliveau became the first ever recipient of the Conn Smythe Award as MVP of the playoffs. He had 8 goals and 8 assists in 13 playoff games that year. First ever recipient of the Conn Smythe. That's a good trivia question.
Yeah, it is.
That.
That's a good bar trivia question.
Yep.
2018, May 1st, 2018, Liverpool FC's Mohamed Salah, a native of Egypt, became the first African player ever to be voted Footballer of the Year by England's football writers.
2022, during a game between the Angels and the White Sox in Chicago, umpire Sean Barber had 4 of his calls at first base appealed, 2 by each team, and all 4 of them were overturned.
Ooh. Angel Hernandez, you said?
No, surprisingly, no. That's bad. Like at first base, for you to have 4 calls challenged at first base in the period in a game is bad.
Yeah.
And you got all 4 of them wrong. I think, like, I heard somebody saying this the other day. I think, how do umpires not get demoted? Like, if you're a baseball player or a hockey player and you don't produce or you have substandard performance, you get sent down to the minor leagues. How does that not happen in baseball?
Well, I mean, the union's strong, but also they do have review of it all. Like, they do review of those
and
guys.
we see them. Like, like, you can see those scorecards where, like, Hunter Wendelstadt the other night had a 91% accuracy on balls and strikes. I'm like, I could probably get 90. You know what I mean? Like, that's bad. Like, this is why people want the robo umps.
I know, which I think is horrible. I don't want that at all.
But I don't know. Like, I've never been there when making that quick call.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I could see how you could get it wrong. Getting it wrong 4 times.
That's pretty bad.
That's pretty
bad. And that's at first base, by the way.
Yeah, but a bang play.
Sure, but he's not calling balls and strikes.
No, that's what I mean. Like, and how many bang plays are there in a game? Probably 4.
Yeah.
And he booted them all.
He screwed them all.
Anyway.
Oh, jeez.
Well, let's take it all the way back to 1920 before there was any of that replay stuff. Yeah. During a 6-0 win over his former team, the Red Sox at the Polo Grounds, 25-year-old Babe Ruth, may have heard of him, hit his first home run as a Yankee. For 15 seasons in New York, he hit 658 more homers.
Yeah.
Just in case you thought he didn't hit any more. I don't know if anybody knows this. He hit a lot more than that.
Okay. It worked out pretty good for the Yankees, yes. Is that it? Are we on
quick hits?
Quick hits. Are you guys ready for some quick hits?
Oh, yeah. Do it.
Quick hits. 2004. San Francisco outfielder Barry Bonds, might have heard of him, set an MLB record by being intentionally walked 4 times in a game versus the Marlins. The Giants still won the game 6-3.
Wow. Quick hit, 1988. After scoring 50 in Game 1, Bulls guard Michael Jordan scored 55 points in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals versus Cleveland, becoming the first player in NBA history to score at least 50 points in consecutive playoff games.
Quick hits! In 1955, in Game 1 of a doubleheader, 36-year-old pitcher Bob Feller threw a one-hitter versus the Red Sox to help Cleveland win 2-0 at Municipal Stadium. His only blemish, a 7th-inning single by Sammy White. It was the record 12th one-hitter of Feller's Hall of Fame career. In the second game, Cleveland's Herb Score struck out each of the first 9 Boston hitters in the game, allowing just 4 hits in a complete game 2-1 win, where he struck out 16. Man, the Red Sox had a real shit night that night.
The Red Sox were out in Cleveland the night
Holy
before.
cow.
Quick hit, 1995. At Buffalo's Memorial Auditorium, Sabres goalie Dominik Hasek made 32 saves for the shutout as the Sabres defeated the Canadiens 2-0. The loss officially eliminated Montreal from the NHL playoffs for the first time in 25 years. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
25
quick hit. 1991 Rangers pitcher Nolan Ryan threw the 7th and final no-hitter of his Hall of Fame career, shutting out the Blue Jays 3-0 in Arlington. Toronto was the best hitting team in MLB at the time, but Ryan still struck out 16 and walked just 2 and topped it off by blowing away future Hall of Famer Roberto Alomar with a swinging strike 3 to end the game. I remember watching that game. Yeah. He was 44 years old at the time, and he was far and away the oldest player to ever throw a no-hitter, and Sandy Koufax is the only other pitcher to even have half as many as Nolan Ryan.
Holy cow.
Incredible.
Quick hit! 1983, John McEnroe defeated Ivan Lendl 7-0 in in a fifth set tiebreaker to win his third consecutive WCT finals in Dallas. The match lasted 4 hours and 35 minutes, setting a new record for the longest final in the tournament's history with more than an hour. That's too long, friends.
Yes.
Too long. Speaking of too long, one more round?
Let's do it!
It went too long.
1982. Horses. Gato dos...
Horses.
More horses.
Horses.
Just horses.
That is a quick hit.
That's the
Horses.
No, I've got more. I can expand on this.
Great headline.
Gato del Sol won the Kentucky Derby, coming from last place in the field of 19 to win by 2.5 lengths, paying $44.40 on a $2 bet. Air Forbes won, the 5-2 betting favorite prior to the race, finished in 7th place.
Wow. Quick hit, 1992. Mario Lemieux had a goal and an assist as the Penguins defeated Washington 3-1 in Game 7 of their first-round playoff series. The win made Pittsburgh the third team in the last 24 hours to win a playoff series, despite having been down 3-1. The day before, the Canucks defeated Winnipeg in 7, and Detroit came back to beat Minnesota to mount the same comeback.
Oh, man.
Quick hit!
Sorry.
In 2005, with an assist from Ronaldinho, 17-year-old Lionel Messi scored his first ever senior league goal for Barcelona FC against Albacete.
Okay. All right.
Do it in a Boston accent.
2005. Hey, little known fact. That's all I got.
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Very nice.
There you go. Barcelona's
Those
very
fucking
good.
losers.
Fucking Hartford. Hey, birthdays, Matt. What do you say?
Hey, Frank, you light those candles?
Yeah, he's got him. He's going to get him.
All right.
He's going to get him.
You went to get him?
He's going to the Dollarama.
Happy birthday in 1989 to 5-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Wes Welker in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Happy birthday, May 1st, 1991. 2-time All-Star and Gold Glove winning pitcher Marcus Stroman in Long Island, New York.
Nice. Happy birthday, 1961. Former NHL goalie Clint Malarchuk in Grand Prairie, Alberta. If you ever get a chance to read his book, The Crazy Game, it is an amazing read.
Happy birthday, 1987. Longtime NBA center for Raptors and Detroit, Amir Johnson was born in Los Angeles, California.
In 1996, Toronto Maple Leafs All-Star winger William Nylander, or as I like to pronounce it, Nylander.
Thank you.
Nylander in Calgary, Alberta.
Happy birthday, 1973 Hall of Famer, 5-time Pro Bowl running back Curtis Martin, or as we say, Kumar. In New England, of course, played for the Jets. He was born in Pittsburgh, PA, 1973.
Happy birthday, 1990, to one of the 17 MLB players who have hit 4 home runs in a game, Scooter Gennett.
Yeah.
And he was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where he hit the 4 home runs, was playing for Cincinnati in Cincinnati against St. Louis.
And of course, that was the day before everybody in every fantasy pool picked him up.
No one started him.
But the next day, he was like the hottest pickup. And then it was like, what are we doing?
I know. He's got to be the least likely 4 home run in a game
I would
guy,
say.
I
would say.
One more birthday, 1925, Hall of Fame center/linebacker with the Eagles, Chuck Bednarik in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Chuck Bednarik, of course, the subject of one of the great NFL photos of all time. You've seen that black and white one of him with his helmet off, sort of like he's got blood running down his face and steam coming off of his head. It's like, it is an iconic photo. I don't know anything else about Chuck Bednarik other than that, but
the photo
is amazing.
Well, friends, we have to blow out the candles and dim the lights because in 1994, 3-time world champion F1 racer Senna was killed in a 309-kilometer-an-hour crash, leading the San Marino Grand Prix in Imola, Italy. That is crazy. Senna, which is an absolute legend in the world of F1 in 1994.
Documentary on that guy.
Yeah.
Great one, too.
I've seen that one. Yeah, that's great.
Well, we've got depressed for a minute, but let's roll back because earlier we talked about Doc Ellis and his not even brushbacks, really just pegging the Reds because he hated them for whatever reason. We're still diving into why he hated them so much, and we can only imagine the rivalry was there. But and we thought, there's a lot of guys in the MLB history and MLB obviously current history that if you were a pitcher in the majors and you had the opportunity, you would definitely want to try to hit them, brush them back, whatever it was. You couldn't stand them. Yeah. So this is our opportunity to get our rage out. And get our rosters of guys we would like to say. Well, Matt wanted to make it brushback. I wanted to say kill.
Yeah.
See,
And Mike said,
Mike was married.
I wanted somewhere in between. Yeah, Mary.
hit him in the ass. Mary.
I just, I don't want to advocate throwing at somebody,
Yeah.
possibly injuring them.
Yeah.
This is all hypothetical.
We all get.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to do this.
We're not gonna. No, I would never.
But,
But some of these guys deserve more than a brushback. I think.
some of them definitely deserve it. You're right. There are different levels within even our lineups.
Yeah.
You can indicate it or not.
This is not a one-time thing.
And
Yeah.
also, too, you're not like you want to figure out where you're going to direct that pitch in the leg.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
can say that.
I'll give
And
you
the
one.
head.
Give you one in the wallet.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
that
that's
big.
not
There's
bad.
been
And
a
maybe-
few pitchers that have targeted the head.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not going to throw at anybody's head.
No.
And maybe Doc Ellis was just intending to brush them back too. We don't.
No,
No, no.
We don't.
You can allegedly all day, Matt.
The quote says,
I'm going to do
"I'm
it.
going to hit them, not brush them back."
So I believe, Mike, in
Okay, I go
this
first.
draft, you get to pick the first guy you would chuck at.
Okay, for me, it's not even close. First overall pick is Pete Rose.
You're like Doc Ellis.
Yeah. I'm on Doc Ellis' side with that one. I would not have hit Joe Morgan or Dan Dreesen or Tony Perez, but Pete Rose, I'm all on board. I
Yeah.
can't stand anything about Pete Rose. Just everything he does rubs me the wrong
Yeah.
way. So Pete Rose would be my pick.
Well, Mike, I was not sure who I was going to pick first, but because you're talking about a Hall of Famer, I'll take a Hall of Famer too. I would chuck that fucking ball right at George Brett. Fuck him.
wow.
Fuck George Brett. Fuck the 85 Royals. Anything to do with them. I can't stand George Brett. I never have been able to stand George Brett, and I'm just going to start the early thunder and say I'd chuck it at George Brett.
Friend of the show, George. By the way, you said
You
Pete
might
Rose is
come
a Hall
on.
of Famer. Pete Rose is not a Hall
Yeah,
of
but
Famer
should
because
be.
Pete Rose is a fucking
But
idiot.
should be a Hall of
jeez.
Famer.
Oh, jeez.
I thought that would spark you to get angry immediately,
Yeah.
but you let it sit for a second.
Well, I didn't want to
That would have been funny if you
you
missed.
don't want to interrupt. Thanks, Mike. And then goes off.
You missed.
Well, after you said your thing.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
I would have loved that if you had accidentally said George Grand instead
George
of George
Brett. Oh, yeah. Nicest guy ever. That's the guy. I hate
wanna
that
hit
guy.
that guy.
No, George Brett.
Okay, well, I'm going to brush back. This guy did some bad things. A-Rod. I'm going to throw A-Rod. Just the whole got it and just the
Sure.
way. I don't think anyone's going to argue with.
Nope.
With
And
Brushing
do
back
you remember
A-Rod.
when Veritek and him fought at home plate that one time, and
Yep.
all of a sudden everybody became a Red Sox fan for at least that one moment,
Yeah.
because Veritek and him were fighting, and
There's the other time when Jeter was going to make a play. And this is the teammates, but and he comes behind and they messes it all up,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
could tell Jeter just wasn't.
there was the other
wasn't
time
having any.
Bronson Arroyo, remember, was trying to tag him at first base,
Yeah.
like he hit a dribbler and he
Yeah, hit his
smacked it
head.
out of
Yeah,
his hand.
yeah.
But that's it. Those are the only times that he was.
Yes, he was great every other time and beloved by all his teammates.
He's a horrible commentator, too. I would like to beat him behind the desk. He's got that stupid smile on.
While
There's
he's
nothing natural
talking.
about him. There's nothing natural about him.
No,
he's
it
just
is-
this guy, and he's like, God, I wish people would like me. Like they like
he
Pappy.
is-
They like
he
these
is
guys so
trying
much.
really hard.
It's brutal.
I know, you're not
stop
wrong.
it.
But feel free, Alex, to come on the show.
Absolutely.
Friend of the
We'd
show.
love to have you. Prove us
A-Rod.
wrong. Prove us wrong.
Yeah.
All right, and we're on to number 2 now of players I'd like to hit with a pitch. He played for our beloved Toronto Blue Jays for a number of years, but Brett Laurie was
there he
very
is.
difficult to cheer for.
on my list.
I couldn't stand him. He was like the guy who drank 6 Red Bulls before he played. He drove me nuts. He was good. He was good for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did look like he might be really good, but then he flamed right out. But it was one of those times where you're like, the other guys in the other team hate him, and
Yeah, you agree.
like if you were on his team,
Yeah.
and there was a fight, you'd be really slow. You'd be really slow getting out of the dugout to come and
yeah.
stick up for him. Like you'd let them get a few shots in first before. So Brett Laurie would be my second pick.
Well,
Not a Hall of Famer.
you guys kind of set it up when you were talking about like Veritek, and then because of the A-Rod stuff, you're kind of a fan of his for a while. Now I know that for a while there, Michael Barrett was someone that was not that popular as a catcher, but the day he punched AJ Przinsky in the fucking face, he became a hero. So I'm going to go with AJ Przinsky as a guy I want to nail with the ball, and I want to just say a shout out to Michael Barrett for punching him in the fucking face.
Michael Barrett, Hall of Famer because of it.
And I've talked to Michael Barrett before, and his hand is mangled. and apparently someone stepped on his hand once and it mangled his hand. But I really think it's because he punched AJ right in the fucking face, and he never clarified that. But.
Another Fox broadcaster for baseball.
Thank you so much. Anyway, friend of the show.
Again, the invitation is open if anybody wants to come on.
Prove us wrong.
Yeah.
Michael Barrett should definitely come on the show.
Michael Barrett is welcome anytime, but AJ, come on.
Now in the baseball, Why We Love Baseball, I don't know if you read this at all, but there's a mention in there about AJ Pierzynski, a world-renowned, one of the biggest like assholes in baseball. I'm not even allegedly. But apparently one day in the minors, one of his managers said, AJ, you're never going to make it unless you tap into your asshole side of yourself. Yeah. And he took that advice to heart. And apparently his personality changed completely based on that.
I think he is probably smart enough to make that decision. I will give him that.
Yeah.
But it worked. Like
nobody
likes that guy.
It really did. Matt, you're upset that I made a comment like that, or you're okay?
Allegedly.
I'm gonna switch it up here a bit, and this name came up earlier. I'm gonna throw past the batter. I'm gonna brush back the umpire, and I'm gonna wake up Angel Hernandez.
Oh shit! Okay,
I'm gonna give him a little wake up brush back there, because I don't think he's one of the better umpires.
I think that's universally.
You're really stirring up a hornet's nest there, Matt.
A-Rod and then Angel Hernandez.
Frank, make a clip of that hot take.
A-Rod and Angel Hernandez. What are you doing?
Matt Kippen is cooking with hot dog water tonight, folks.
Man, guys. These are people that
I'm warning them first.
Just
so you guys
know.
Really good.
Yeah. Next up, Satan. All right. Great picks.
Yeah.
Controversial choice.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
A friend of the show.
Man.
Satan, come on the show.
Satan, come on the show.
Clear the air.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So after that extreme hot take, I'm gonna take my third pick will be former Boston Red Sox, St. Louis Cardinal outfielder J.D. Drew.
Nice choice.
I couldn't stand. Nobody liked that guy.
No,
he didn't. Remember, he got drafted by the Phillies. He wouldn't sign there. He didn't he was always sort of about himself all the time. The one good year he had was like a contract year, and then he went and signed it. Like he always kind of was hurt. I just didn't like his face.
No.
I'm not going to hit him in the face, again, to be clear.
Yes.
Right in the wallet, that's all. Just one in the ham hock, but J.D. Drew's third.
I don't know if this may be too serious. This may be too serious. Matt decided to hit an umpire. I'm going to actually hit a fan.
Oh.
I want to take the Cardinals fan who thought that it was so great to make a jersey of the cop, Darren Wilson, who killed Michael Brown. He wore a Cardinals jersey to praise him at the game and sold shirts going, this is a Cardinals jersey. I want to praise the greatest cop in America. He did that at a Cardinals game. And I just want to know that defines who the Cardinal fans are. I know I hate Philly a lot, but I think the Cardinals fans are douches. So I'm going to take this random Cardinals fan who decided that was a good idea and hit him with a fucking ball right in the head.
Wow.
This is taking a turn.
Come on the show, though.
I was only...
but also...
wait a minute.
I was only picking players. You guys are like anybody in the stadium. Anybody who's ever watched a baseball game now.
You know that guy who sells peanuts?
Whoa.
That guy?
Yeah.
Gonna hit that guy, Frank?
You know, I'm
Frank, what the fuck?
I can't stand that guy.
I'm gonna have to change my next pick because
I'm trying to watch the pitch count.
Honestly, Sandy, that's pretty.
That was horrible that it happened.
Yeah.
And I remember even, I think it was Bill Murray who said, there you go. I've proved my point once and for all. The Cardinals fans are the fucking worst.
Just to keep tracks, the last show and tonight combined, Sandy has badmouthed the fans in Philly, the fans in Boston, and the fans in St. Louis. That's only in like 1.5 shows.
Yeah,
so
right.
we are running out of markets to sell this thing to.
Sandy, did that make it on the broadcast? Like, how did you see this?
Oh no, it was in the news.
It was in the news, but not on the broadcast of the game.
No, he went down to the game, and then people had photos of him, and he was walking around. Then then the next time he doubled down, he started selling T-shirts saying, "We got to support this cop." And it was like in the Cardinals shirts he made himself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how amazing they are.
Aren't St. Louis Cardinals fans known as the best fans in the game? Isn't that what they always like? Say?
Really?
Yeah.
Good Lord, gross.
Well, it's just one.
I guess I'm not gonna hit him all in the face.
No, you're just gonna hit that guy.
Yeah,
Fair
that's
enough.
fine. Matt, were you in the middle of making a pick?
Well, I don't know anymore. It feels kind of soft now. I was going to throw into the net for the guy on his phone the whole game, but it just feels like
just to be clear, you two. The criteria was what hitters would you like to hit with a pitch?
Okay, my next one.
You guys
I'm
are
back
now
on.
throwing it in.
No, back on.
I'd like to hit the Queen of England with a pitch.
I thought it would hit
because
Marlins
of
man.
that thing she did.
How about Marlins man?
Yeah.
Hit that fucking guy.
okay. I mean, that was my pick. I wanted to. Do you want me to change that, Mike?
No, do what you
no.
like at this point.
Just
yeah.
you know, startling. So into the net to startle the guy on his phone for the whole game, or it could be, you know, it could be a
There are a lot of people doing that. There's
know.
no doubt about it.
and you've got such great seats too.
Yep,
you're
It's
right
always
there.
Well, the people with the great seats don't appreciate it, right? Because they're rich.
They're rich. They don't care.
They don't like. They're
Like Marlins man. He goes around everywhere spending money. He's
in the orange Marlins.
yeah,
shirt.
terrible.
Yeah, I
he's
know.
he's resurfaced. The guy's like a dentist.
I
from
think I know what
Miami.
your last pick's going to be.
Marlins
Okay,
man?
I'm going to actually stick to the rules of the draft.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
and pick players.
Mike, we need someone like you on this team.
I'm
Yes,
going to
thank you,
lose
Mike.
as a
Thank
result,
you.
but
Okay.
okay. My fourth pick will be Phillies and Mets legend Lenny Dykstra.
Dude, he was on my list. Good call.
He just seems like, first of all, credit where credit's due, he was amazing in the playoffs several times. With the Phillies in 93, almost single-handedly won the World Series for them.
Mm-hmm.
He was great against the Blue Jays, so that's part of it.
Yeah.
But also, he kind of seems like a bit of a Neanderthal in real life, too. A lot of things Lenny said over the years are just not defendable. So I figure maybe I'll get Lenny with one and maybe smarten him up a bit.
Well, that I have it down to 2, and that kind of inspired me because I think stupid things people say, stupid things. And there's 2 guys that have said some stupid shit that probably deserve to get hit. I'm gonna go with Carl Everett.
Oh, that was my other debate. Yeah.
There we go, perfect. Carl Everett. If you don't know, just look it up.
Yeah.
There's a sea of them. Worst teammate all time. Just
And what did he say? There's like he's got offensive things about same-sex relationships.
very homophobic. Yeah.
He's got he thinks there was no such thing as dinosaurs.
That's right.
Like he thinks the world is flat.
Yeah. He's the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
Fun guy in the clubhouse, I'm sure.
Oh, sure. Always seemed like such a sporting fellow.
Mike, are we done now?
No, my
Matt's
final
got
pick.
last pick.
My final pick. I was going to go once through the order of the sign-stealing Astros.
Oh,
yeah.
That's good.
And maybe that, that could be good. That at least those are ball players. And Mike, because my other was going to be D. Baxter the Bobcat, because he's the Arizona Diamondbacks mascot, and he's a Bobcat.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Should be a snake.
Should be a snake.
Yeah.
So it's inaccurate.
Yeah. Are you going with that?
Yeah, go for it.
Take your time.
Yeah. Frank, my teammate, who should we go with? Which one?
I like the order.
Okay, once through the order of
Oh.
the sign-stealing Astros.
Yeah, sign stealing Astros all get it in the head.
I had Bregman on my list.
Yeah.
He's my
So
least
this is the
favorite.
thing. That is me. That's Brett Laurie 2.0.
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly the guy I was thinking.
And
about.
I hate to say it, but has anybody noticed the last couple of years since all that sign stealing was put an end to that Bregman has been
shit.
pretty ordinary?
Yeah, pretty pedestrian.
He was great those first couple of years he played, but
Yeah,
since all that stopped, he's pretty mediocre.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's He was definitely. You say Brett Laurie, I think of him like exactly the same thing. Just like too much intensity.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
But yeah, certainly he's kind of slowly getting that comeuppance with the sign stealing. If you
Yeah.
with that.
And I mean,
Frank's leaving.
okay,
Yeah.
Frank didn't like that.
his camera stopped recording.
All right, so okay, so that's a lot of great choices we got. I think we got a fair amount of controversy too.
Yeah,
as well in this.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to our judgment on this. Before we do, we want to remind people to share, like, and subscribe because we're trying to grow an audience for this show. So if you're on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you like it at least. Share, subscribe, very important. Okay.
Yes, please.
Keep this day in sports going. Now, we're going to go get judged by our special guest judge about who of us has the best lineup of guys we like to brush back if we were pitching in MLB.
And
Matt,
which two of us get brushed back themselves?
Okay. Here we go.
All right. Well, we have picked these rosters of players that we feel you should well, if you had the chance, you'd toss a baseball at varying degrees of injury, hoping for. Some people get it in the leg, some people get it in the head, some people, random people in the crowd, apparently.
Just a brushback for some.
Hey, brushbacks. Okay, fair enough. And who better to judge this than Mr. Chin Music himself? Hey, Arkells. Nick Dika is here. Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Great to have you here. Are you coming to us today from Hamilton?
No, I'm actually visiting my parents in London.
Oh, okay.
So a little further west, a little further down the 401, but yeah, close.
Right.
Okay. Very close. Very close. You don't always have to be in Hamilton. That's not like a rule for the Arkells.
3 of 5. It's a 3 of 5 rule. Yeah.
Alarms go off in the city if more than 2 of you are gone at one time.
Yeah. We got the prison ankle bracelets, making sure.
Perfect. You may not be the only people in Hamilton that have those.
Sandy. Another city, Sandy? Another city.
Sorry.
He's ripping everywhere. You're not going to be safe anywhere, Sandy. You keep this up.
Don't get me started. Nick, you're a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
I'm just very curious, like, generally, do you have a big, like, your favorite baseball moment that you're just like, that always sticks with you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, as a Canadian, who grew up in Southern Ontario, it's like all the big Jays ones are pretty self-explanatory, in terms of them winning the World Series and, again in like 2015, 16. So because I'm sure those get talked to death, I'm going to say one that's not that, which was, I remember the World Series where the Marlins played the Yankees, and it was like Miguel Cabrera had just got called up. He was like 20 years old. Josh Beckett was like 24 years old, and they beat them. And I loved watching that. So in terms of my favorite, like, non-Jays memory, which is still connected to the Jays in the sense that I hate the Yankees probably because I like the Blue Jays, but watching those just take it to the Yankees in the World Series was awesome. So
that's the famous Cabrera at bat where Clemens threw at him and
he kept brushing him back
right field, right?
Yeah, like the 8th pitch of the at bat or something. Yeah, that was awesome.
And he was like 20 years old. Yeah, you're right. That was pretty awesome. That was pretty great.
Yeah, that was cool to see.
And you're a huge Juan Encarnacion fan, I know. So that's probably
yeah.
So
hadn't heard him in a while.
Yeah, there you go. Throw some names at you. We don't any level. We talked about these players we wanted to bean for various reasons for people, but beyond players, surprisingly, in the draft as well. That doesn't have to reflect on a negative tone. It's just more like maybe justice in some ways. In some of these situations, but we'll take you through each team, and you can give us your feedback on each of these teams. And starting with Team 1, that was Pete Rose, Lenny Dykstra, Brett Laurie, and JD Drew. Starting with Pete Rose, you can tell us how you feel about these choices. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Pete Rose, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. Didn't he like break somebody's leg in an All-Star game sliding home?
He broke Ray Fosse's shoulder. Yes, he ran the catcher in the All-Star game and like ruined his career.
Yeah, Fosse was never the same, right?
Never the same. That's right.
Yeah, that's probably the tame end of why he should be on that list.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask whoever made Team 1, how'd they pick Lenny Dykstra from all the 93 Phillies? Because there's never been a baseball team that looked more similar than like the 93 Phillies between him, Darren Dalton, Mitch Williams, John Kruk. They could all be cousins.
It's true. It's true. Do you want an answer?
Yeah.
Mike's reviewing.
It's going to be a dead giveaway. This is my team. I picked Dykstra because he said a couple of things that were really homophobic and misogynistic and stuff after his career, but also because in that 93 World Series, he almost single-handedly won that World Series by himself. He was they could not get him out. So it's kind of both. It's like payback for that 93 World Series for almost beating the Jays by himself and for kind of being a douche in real life too.
That makes sense.
You'd hit Schilling if he was a batter.
If Schilling hit, I'd hit him too. Yeah.
I got no no qualms with Brett Laurie. I feel like is he a bro? Yeah, but he was our bro, you know. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I feel like a little bit, not to cross sports, but there's a little bit of like William Nylander with the Leafs. It's like, yeah, he's broy, but he's our bro. But I could see why he might be on some list like this.
Sure.
That's fair.
It seems like there's always in every sport that player who you're like, I really hate them, but if they're on my team, I see what that's like Marchand in like Boston, for example. You understand why the Bruins fans love him so much, but you can't stand it. When we were kids, I remember like Scott Stevens was somebody that became sort of a villain, but you're like, oh, Scott Stevens was on the Leafs, they would for sure win the cup. That's the one guy, and so that definitely is the Brett Laurie level too. I'm sure other teams are just like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah, when those hockey players would play for Team Canada and you're suddenly cheering for them, it was always
Or that weird feeling that Ricky Henderson came and played for the Jays, and you're like, oh God, this guy's been killing us for 10 years, and now I'm going to cheer for him. It's so weird.
Yeah. Too bad Laurie wasn't as good as any of those other examples. Like Scott Stevens or Ricky Henderson.
That's right. Yeah. It's also because of that I want to hit him with a pitch too, Nick. That's why.
Yeah. And JT Drew, he's kind of the original holdout guy, isn't he? Yeah.
In baseball, for sure, he has that sort of Lindros path, which is interesting because Lindros went to Philly and JT Drew didn't want to play in Philly. And the parents were very involved in both of those, I believe, as well.
Yeah. But what's the saying with the Philly fans though, that they booed Santa Claus? They're the only fan base that's ever booed Santa Claus. So he might have been onto something.
Nick, it's been well documented how I feel about Philly fans on the show.
Don't get him started.
I think the Santa example is good, but the one I often use is Eddie Robinson was the oldest player, living Major League Baseball player. He passed away a year or two ago. He was 100 years old, and he had put out a podcast, and he was so sweet about everybody, except for he got traded to Philly, and he just talked about how miserable the fans were and how much he hated Philly. And it was amazing to listen to a 100-year-old man who they could not get off the topic, much like me. 5 minutes later, he was like, I just want you to know again, I hate Philadelphia. Like, he just wouldn't let it go. So that tells you a lot. 100-year-old Eddie Robinson. So shooting over to team 2, George Brett, AJ Brzezinski, Carl Everett, and then this one is a bit of a wild card. The Cardinals fan who made for a Cards jersey with the name of the cop who killed Michael Brown as a sign of support, and then followed it up with selling his own shirts in the parking lot just to say the same thing. We really need to support this cop. That's just a Cardinal fan encapsulation, I think. But what do you think?
You've already nailed St. Louis, Philly, and Hamilton. We've been doing this for 10 minutes.
I think to say that's every Cardinal fan might be a bit of a reach.
A bit harsh.
Yeah.
I guess you can guess who picked this one, Nick?
So what do you think of George Brett? Do you have any feelings on George Brett?
I mean, he's kind of like the typical like baseball red ass, like runs hot, grips the bat real tight. Like on the list, he wouldn't be at the top of my list of offenders. So he's not batting cleanup for team 2. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that one is from a deep rooted hatred of the '85 Royals. And so I just picked him out of anybody on that team, I think. AJ Brzezinski, how do you think about AJ?
So there's this new show that I watch sometimes called Foul Territory. It's like a YouTube show. He's on it. Ken Rosenthal's on it, a couple other people. And he's so mean to the guys who weren't former players. Like, I don't usually notice that in a broadcast or like a show capacity, but he's really mean to the guys who didn't play before. So he's picking on them. So I don't like that.
Good.
So he's kind of high up on my list.
Okay.
We were saying that when he was in the minors, basically he had a manager who said, AJ, you're only going to make it into the majors if you become an asshole. And then he was like, mission accomplished. Like, he just did it. He had that personality, and he just became that guy that everybody hates.
Interesting. I don't know.
Well, he had a goal in life. How about Carl Everett? There's a teammate.
Yeah, wasn't he the guy who like didn't believe in dinosaurs either?
Correct.
Yep.
Which is funny. Yeah, and he had some crazy fights. Did he also like pull his did he like tear his ACL or something in a fight, or was that Milton Bradley?
Oh,
I can't remember.
It was Milton Bradley did it arguing with an umpire. Remember?
Right.
He got called
Yeah.
out and like jumped up and down and like tore his knee arguing with the being pushed out of the way.
But the argument was also
but
was the argument about dinosaurs as well, Mike?
Yeah.
it was actually about same-sex marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Just anything with him, it's a problem. Oh yeah. Also, I mean, just so many terrible things. So homophobic. It's pretty, and that's not allegedly, Matt. That's pretty much true.
Hey, we can throw in allegedly.
Aggravated assaults, all these sort of things. But Milton Bradley is actually a great example to make any of these lists. That's a great one to bring up because I remember Milton Bradley. I believe it was him and Dimitri Young at one point. Those two were just poison. Everybody wanted to get rid of them. And I think it was Dimitri Young that was in that same sort of category, but he got traded from Matt Garza, I think it was, to Tampa or something like that. And I think that Joe Madden said something to the effect of, we just gave away the nicest guy for this guy. Like he just was like, because I guess they wanted to get tough or something like that. And it's like the management mistook toughness for being a dick kind of, and it just was toxic as all hell.
Just to avoid lawsuits, that is Delman Young Sandy is talking about, not Dimitri Young.
Not Dimitri? Yeah, Delman Young.
Dimitri was the nice brother. Delman was the...
Thank you for saying that.
Just allegedly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We don't want to get sued. We really
and when we wanted to get tougher, we brought Sandy on the team. And
that's right.
We got some grit on the podcast.
Some sandpaper.
Yeah.
Truculence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to remember which of the brothers. Like, I know my BJ Upton's kind of this guy, and Justin Upton. You cannot do that to people. You cannot say, but they like JD Drew is Stephen Drew. Is that, like they are in the same boat? I mean, you gotta be careful which Drew brother you're shitting on, Mike, right?
That's right. That's
right. Absolutely vital. Which Brett brother you're chewing? George Brett, not Ken Brett.
Yeah, not Ken Brett. That's right.
Vital mistake. Okay, he's had enough. Cardinals fan. You don't have to get too heavily into this Cardinals fan. I threw that in as a wild card, but that was a crazy story.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Missouri has all sorts of crazy stories like this. Isn't Missouri the place they had the parade? There was that famous like photo of the couple on their front lawn holding the guns. Yeah. Matt, you're right. You don't want to lump every Cardinals fan in here, but feels like there's a lot concerning trends.
It's kind of like, if you're a Cardinals fan, it doesn't mean you're an asshole, but if you're an asshole, you might be a Cardinals fan. Isn't that the kind of like the pattern it goes in? All right. Team 3, A-Rod, Angel Hernandez. So we've got an ump in here, and then all of the sign-stealing Astros, and then finally a fan who is on his phone in good seats for the whole game. He should get beaned as well. How do we feel about this team?
Yeah. Another controversial opinion is I don't mind A-Rod. I think he's kind of entertaining. I could see him being annoying if you played with him or anything like that. But in terms of like from, getting just to watch as a fan, I think, he says and does a lot of things that are entertaining or make the game more fun. And he's like a fun villain, not in like the Carl Everett way or something like that.
Fair.
That makes sense.
Did you guys ever see now he's on the Fox broadcast and David Ortiz put vodka in his water?
No.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Well, he does need to loosen up on those broadcasts. I was sort of doing a prep with him. Always like he has this laughing with his mic right up in his face, and and Ortiz is so easygoing and is easily charming, and anyone else, even Jeter gets on, whoever gets on is charming, and I think he just tries so hard, and that was the detriment of his playing career. He just couldn't be Jeter. He couldn't understand why people didn't like him like they like Jeter, and it drove him crazy,
Yeah.
So he gets with J-Lo, and he gets this amazing tan, and it just didn't seem to I guess Nick, that made you a fan, obviously.
The tan, he dated a bunch of people, didn't he? Like Madonna or something, or no, he was like doing Kabbalah with Madonna or something, or I don't know how
it got weird.
And then there was the stripper in Toronto that got him in all that trouble. Remember that too?
That's right. Yeah.
That was like the front page of the Sun.
And the famous photo, the painting of him too, that was half him and half was like a minotaur.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
doesn't he have like two of those up in his house or something?
Yeah.
like that?
Home, yeah. Somebody said like he had a painting made of him, the top half of a minotaur. So that's a
I remember
Yeah.
I was at the Jays game when that came out, and then this is the game the next day, basically. And it was at the game early, and there were guys sitting down in front of me, like three business guys, and they were just heckling A-Rod, like, oh, what's the brass rail like, A-Rod? Hey, all strip clubs, Jillies, they're just naming every strip club and going on and on. They did it for about maybe 2 innings, 3 innings. Fourth inning, their fourth buddy comes in. He sits down. He's like, "How's it going?" The guy, total business guy. And he's like, "Oh, hey, Ron, how's the brass rail?" And his buddy goes, "Hey, we've already been doing that. We've already been doing that." He's like, "You're way behind. You're way behind."
There's order to the heckling.
Yeah. Angel Hernandez. This is a topical one, and always, I guess, big in it's sort of in social media, especially right now. Everyone's been talking about Angel's performances. How do you feel about Angel Hernandez?
Yeah. Well, it's like, to follow what you're saying, like, technology has not been his friend. And he's his errors are being broadcast all over the internet now with all the advanced like ball strike technology. So I feel bad for him because his days are probably numbered as like they bring in ABS and things like that. He's probably not long for the umpiring ranks. So, but yeah, he's very frustrating if he's behind the plate and you're watching the Jays or any other team you like.
Yeah. And
the thing about it is too, like, can you name 5 other umpires?
Right.
Like, everybody knows that guy's name. Everybody.
Yeah.
And like, we shouldn't know, you know what I mean? That in an ideal world, we don't really even know who those guys are. It's only the officials who single themselves out with their uselessness that everybody comes to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Is he bad at tossing guys? Like, does he throw guys a lot?
I don't know. I mean, I guess he probably has a higher percentage just because he probably gets more complaints.
Right.
I don't. It's not like Joe Brinkman and Cito Gaston. You remember, like in the '90s, Cito Gaston would like say one thing, and Joe Brinkman would be like, before the lineup cards had been exchanged, Cito was thrown out. I don't know. I don't remember that, but it's just the calls are so bad.
His calls are bad, and also the sort of feeling amongst the players that if he doesn't like you, he does not let it go. So he's not great at like treating everybody equally as far as players go. He has a few guys like you're going to get a bad call because he just can't let it go. And that's often what the broadcasters are saying when he's calling a game is like, you can't do that with Angel. No, you can't call him. You'll call him out on something. Don't do that. Like, you just can't do that with him. But apparently amongst the other umps, he's very popular. So maybe in the union, they want to keep him because he's a popular ump. I don't know.
Will we miss that subjectivity when it's gone though? If it's all going to be computers, will we miss it where it's like, oh, you can't piss that guy off?
Yeah.
I mean, is there no, Mike? No. Okay. I won't. Just checking.
You won't miss it, Mike?
What's that?
You won't miss it? You won't miss umps?
No. I don't think they're talking about replacing them at every base. I think they're just saying balls and strikes. Like, I empathize. It's not easy to do. You can't always get a perfect view of the ball. Why not have it be accurate all the time? Like, I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with that. It's like, we do it in tennis. Why not? Like, if the technology's there, I don't understand the appeal of wrong calls. I just don't get it. This isn't about Joe, it's about Nick.
Yeah, Nick, what do you think? Oh yeah, but Nick, what do you think? You're looking forward to these robotic calls, or what do you think?
I think so. To my knowledge, what I think they're trying to implement is basically it's going to be a challenge system. So they'll still have the umps. It's just the players can challenge, and if they lose the challenge, I don't know how many they get before it's done. But it'll feel good. Hopefully, selfishly as a Jays fan, I hope it'll make Vlad a little bit more of a complete hitter, because sometimes they call one a little off the outside corner and then he's hacking at sliders in the other batter's box. So maybe if he knows he's not going to get rung up on something like that, he'll be able to stay disciplined more of the time.
Yeah.
Unlike his father, he can't hit bad balls.
No.
This is an entire roster here. This next one, this is all the sign stealing Astros.
Once through the order.
Yeah.
Once through the order.
Once through the order, then you'll be done. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Well, this is tough because as a Jays fan, like George is one of us now. George is one of us. Correa, I feel like that guy, he's run into some bad luck on his own. Yeah, Bregman and Altuve, I guess, kind of I don't love, but I could see, like we were saying earlier, if they were on your team, you'd love them.
We did compare Bregman to Brett Laurie. Like he's like a Houston version of Brett Laurie for sure.
Yeah. So I'm not super offended by it. And it's kind of funny, like you think of all the technology we're just talking about in Major League Baseball and stuff, and they're literally banging a trash can. Yeah. And again, we've got the man in white too, so we shouldn't be too harsh to judge as Jays fans. Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to go to our last part on Team 3, but could you do me a favor, just pull up, just so Nick has some context how he got here, just that story about Doc Ellis. Do you have that handy?
Oh, sure, yeah.
How we got to this point in our day in sports. Finally, sure. Nick got a fan who was on his phone the whole game, but in great seats. Did that person get beaned?
Now, just like the ball goes into the net right in front.
Okay.
Just wake him up a little. Just get him off that phone.
Yeah. I mean, you don't love this, right? Like, yeah, this is frustrating. This is like the whole problem with like the lower bowl at the Leafs at Scotiabank. Like, yeah, I do have a lot of empathy for people who are frustrated with a guy like that. It's like, you must know someone. That dude must know someone in their family or friends or neighbors or whatever that would love those seats and like baseball. Give them away. There's a better use for them.
Yes.
Yeah, you really want it to be like next day at work, like the boss going, "Hey Frank, can I talk to you for a second? I watched the Jays game last night, and you look like you're on the phone half the time, so I'm not going to be giving you tickets anymore."
Right.
You still work here, but you will not be getting tickets.
You will not get the ticket. You embarrass the company.
Yeah.
So just for context, we were talking about this on the podcast, Nick. In 1974, Pirates pitcher Doc Ellis intentionally hit Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and Dan Dreesen with consecutive pitches to start the game, and then issued a bases-loaded walk to Tony Perez after just missing him with 2 pitches to allow a run to score before he was removed from the game by his manager, Danny Murtaugh. He faced just 4 hitters, and it was not due to a lack of control. Before the game, he had vowed to reporters, quote, "I'm going to hit those motherfuckers." In talking about that, that's where we arrived, where we are. This little chat.
There's no Doc, unfortunately, right now. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Stir in the pot. So you've seen these 3 rosters. When you look at all, is there anyone we missed? Is there anyone glaring that you're like, I'm surprised you didn't pick this person?
Oof. Yeah, no, I was trying to think about more recent like Jays beefs in like 2015, 16. There was like a lot of feuds with the Royals and the Twins a little bit. But no one from those teams stands out. Trying to think like, I mean, people don't love Rob Manfred. I guess he can't really get in the box, but neither can Angel Hernandez or the fans. So like maybe, you might want to consider Manfred, but there's no one I'd picked it off these lists for Manfred. I don't.
I think in the era you were talking about, like Odor was like the
yeah.
There are Jays fans and
I forgot about that. That's a good one.
I'd put Ruby on, I think. Yeah.
We all missed that one.
What was insane is he was like 22 when that happened. And he looked, I think, much older because he had like a shaved head and like huge beard, and he struck out all the time. But like, he was a kid, which is wild.
Who punched Jose Batista right in the face. Like, the fact that happens insane. And I a Jays fan, he struggled after that a lot, and on teams he went to, and it's just like didn't have much sympathy for a guy who punched a guy on our team right in the face.
He was also Odor was the guy who scored the run before the Batista bat flip, right? He was the guy who scored on the Shin Choo Choo, the ball off his hand. Like Odor scored the run on that little weird play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he also could have been that guy. Like if they didn't come back and win, he would have been devil
in Texas.
Did he make an error too? I feel like he made like a critical error either that year or the year before.
There was 3 errors. Andrews was in all 3 of the errors, but there was a ball that Donaldson like blooped that Odor kind of got turned around on and didn't make it wasn't technically an error,
right?
But he should have caught it, and that was part of that insane inning too.
Yeah.
So if you look at those 3, then those teams, if we're not, there's no omissions, some pretty good picks. Which one would you pick as the ultimate in this challenge? Bean challenge.
If I'm Doc Ellis saying I'm going out there, I'm getting kicked out after I hit these motherfuckers, I'm gonna go team 2. Team 2.
Right on.
I like that. I think every draft from now on should just start with if I was Doc Ellis, and then whatever it is.
That's what we should call the podcast.
That is a victory for me.
That's a rare victory for Sandy. That's great.
Okay.
There you go, kid.
Well, I have enough venom inside of me about different fans from different towns, so obviously I'm the one who would be an expert on beanballing.
Yeah.
True.
Nick, thank you so much for being on This Day in Sports. Is there anything you want our fans to know what's coming up with the Arkells and what's happening? We're now on the May 1st episode here coming out.
So we just announced like tour dates for the fall, so we'll be out and about in Canada then, and in between then and now we'll have a new song or 2 coming out too. So if you want to see us live, come see us live. If you want to listen or download, spin, however you consume music, we'll have a couple new songs too.
I speak from experience. The Arkells are an amazing live band. I've seen you guys a couple of times. It's definitely, anybody listening, if you haven't been, treat yourself. Nick, before we started this, is there you probably won't answer because you're too nice a guy. Is there anybody in another band you'd like to hit with a pitch?
I feel like in a lot of times,
off the record later.
No. I think like a lot of times, like in music, people if they're gonna like big league you, it's less that they're around you when they're being a dick. They just like you'll never see them. You know what I mean? Right. Like in a situation where like, oh, I would have seen this other band a billion times. We've been touring for a week, but you've never seen them. Like that's kind of a thing. But I don't know. I think I feel like I like their music a lot, but I don't need to hear any of the guy from the 1975's opinions. I've heard enough of them.
There you go. Well done. Good for you.
That's so good.
As all of Canada nods in agreement with you.
It's the great thing is that at least you reveal to us what the biggest like offense would be for you. It's just like being big timed. If you're on a bill with somebody and they're big timing you, that's a beanable offense.
Oh yeah. It's like, you didn't have to have us out here.
It's good. It's a bit of a warning. I think you should have a baseball in your back pocket. Just kind of pull it out every once in a while and be like, you doing it? And put it right back.
I don't think 44. Yeah, the 44 I can get up to is going to be the same warning. But I'm curious if there's anyone in music that you guys would want to be in.
Oh, that's a good
present company, not.
Yeah,
no, it wouldn't be any of the Arkells. Yes, there sure.
Who's
you can put it in the chat if you don't.
Oh yeah.
Matt's afraid of allegedly.
No, I think that's a great thing for fans to put in the chat too.
Yeah, that's a good one too. That's right. Yeah.
And anyone we missed.
Yeah, I like that we're all being very politically correct about bands.
No, I'm not. There's just so many coming to my head at the same time. I can't. It would take up too much time.
I'll throw it Sandy.
Me.
Sandy just wants to hit everybody who lives in Philadelphia.
like for me, it's sometimes it's kind of like even the people that you really like, and then you're just being annoying. Like for me, like I'm a huge fan of like the Police, but I'd love to throw a baseball at Sting every once in a while. You're just like, this is annoying. Sting, stop. What you're doing right now is being annoying. You being for brush back at least for this, what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right, Mike's not going to reveal a name. Matt is afraid, but Nick, that's an excellent question. We will get our fans to answer. Turning into a music question, which member of a band or any of the whole band would you like to bean with an 100-mile-per-hour fastball?
I mean, I could go easy and say like the lead singer of Nickelback, but that's kind of low hanging fruit, isn't it?
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Too obvious.
Yeah.
Maybe you too.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Man.
Maybe
What's
you
through the
too.
order?
Yeah, like just
What's
like
the order? Yeah.
mostly Bono. I just want them to stop. Like I feel like if I hit them, like not hurt them, but like just get them out, just to stop. They had a great run. Just stop now.
Yeah.
Maybe a little chin music would get them to stop.
I might hit the bass, the guitar that's a guitar and you have the bass. Like I don't.
The 2-in-1.
Yeah, just pick one. We don't need that.
Or the keytar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hold on, but Nick, have you ever owned one of those guitars?
That's a bass and a guitar in one?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I think like functionally or practically speaking, if you can afford those, you can afford to literally have a guitar stand with whatever one you're not using on.
Fair point. Yeah.
Yeah.
No big
And
magic trick.
And nobody's ever had one of those things and been like, this is the best sounding guitar or this is the best sounding bass either. So
No, it's
not
a
functional.
show-off move.
Guaranteed.
I feel like Yes would have that. A guy in Yes,
Right?
Dix would have that. Have to have those two. Like Emerson, Lake Palmer for sure. Those kind of bands would do that.
And Canadian Icons, Rush maybe too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been a fantastic conversation that had two categories, which is so good. Could be baseball. Actually, three. Could be anyone randomly in the stands, or no. It could be a baseball player, or it could just be a Canadian musician, or any musician at all that we're going to bean all. That's perfect. Nick, come back to the show anytime. We'd love to have you back. You can even challenge us with the topic next time. We'll do it.
I'll think on one. Great.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Well, that seemed pretty fair. One of us got beaned, and one of us, I guess, won this lineup of.
Does anybody win?
It's hard to say. It was a lot of negative energy, maybe with some of the people we picked, but it was a fun time.
It was a public service, I think.
It was a public service. Okay.
Hitting those men.
Well, we are going to be back in about a week with another episode of This Day in Sports, so sure to check that out. Again, share, like, and subscribe, and help us grow this audience a little bit, because we love bringing the show to you from this lovely cabin locale, and we want to continue to do that. So check out our next This Day in Sports. I hope you enjoyed May 1st. I'm Sandy Jobin Bevins.
I'm Matt Kippen.
I'm Mike Shera.
Over there we have...
Me, Frank.
Frank is over there.
Me, Frank.
Me, Frank. And he'll be back next episode along with all of us.